Dearly beloved, we are gathered here together today, although not too closely because of how fat we are, to mourn the loss of a bright star in the constellation firmament of let's take it again, of fast food, the Cool Ranch flavor Doritos Locos Tacos.
Oh, no.
To Locos to Vida. To Guapo to...
Wow.
Yeah, man, Taco Bell is cutting the fat. Well, they're not cutting the fat, but they're cutting down their menu items. We're losing both the Cool Ranch and the Fiery Doritos taco, leaving us only nacho cheese.
The original Dorito.
Yeah, the original Poindexter of Doritos flavors. And they're losing other things like the beefy mini quesadilla. They're not serving chips and salsa anymore.
Oh, I like their chips and salsa.
No, really?
Yeah.
Okay. No double tostada. The Power Menu burrito. I don't even know what the Power Menu is, to be honest.
Sounds
and
like
the XXL
secret.
grilled stuffed burrito. Which,
okay.
Let's face it, that's
too much.
the suspension in your car squeaks when they hand it to you out of the drive-thru. But yeah, what? And the double-decker taco, too.
Oh, no.
Which has been around for 10 years, almost.
What do you think
now, as somebody
inspired this?
I don't know. This happens. You have menu items. But usually, like, things come and go. Like the... what do they have? Do they do the Mexi Melt still? I think they got rid of the Mexi Melt, right?
I have no idea.
There's a lot of things that come and go. They had their light menu. This is a while ago.
Well, yeah, I remember their light
which
menu.
I thought was pretty popular, but I think they
decided to get rid of it,
yeah,
though.
not going to be a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Fast food restaurants do this. They clean out the closets, if you will. And I wish they wouldn't, because a lot of the times, those are things that I like.
Right.
Giving, unique options. Yes, the Big Mac's always going to be there, but what about the McDLT? That's a success story, right? That's back.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
What about the McRib? They always are bringing that back.
Well,
and then that goes away.
A promo that gets you to come in once a year. But yeah, I don't know. As somebody who eats exclusively chicken quesadillas, you probably don't have an opinion on this, but...
Well, I mean, that is my go-to item.
What if they drop the chicken quesadilla?
I don't know what I would do.
There's just one woman in the Midwest who's eating the chicken quesadilla. It's gone.
It's gone. I think I'd have to find a different, alternative, like a taco, or maybe I would just eat their ground beef tacos or something like that.
Things that stand out or things that are, highlighted on their menu must be things that people eat all the time.
It must be.
Like the cheesy gordita crunch.
Uh-huh.
I would never get that.
Sure.
I think tortillas are the delivery vehicle for Mexican food. If they are tasty or well made, great. If they're not, they're double bad.
Right.
But having a taco then wrapped in their flatbread for their gordita, which I don't know. I had gordita. Actually, what was it? The chalupa was the fried gordita, right? That's when they fried it. That was good. But having a regular taco with their nacho sauce wrapped in their kind of cardboardy... I would never eat a cheesy gordita crunch, but that is top 5 on their menu.
Right.
The loaded grillers, again, all you're doing is just grilling the outside tortilla, which again, I come for the crunch. I don't come for the chew.
Right. No, I get what you're saying.
So, I don't know. Me and Taco Bell, we're heading in different directions, I feel. They had they had soft taco. That's something that you eat when you're, trying to lose weight or something.
I guess.
I don't know.
What would you do if they got rid of the Baja Blast or something like that?
Okay, well, that's crazy talk. let's reel that in.
All right.
Or the Mexican pizza, which for a long time was their highest caloric item, is 1,000 calories. It's just taking 2.5 tacos worth, and just smashing it flat, and then covering that as well with cheese. And
that sounds gross.
Those who have not tasted should not speak.
I guess not. Maybe I need to be more adventuresome with my choices at Taco Bell.
Yeah, stay away from those loaded grillers, though.
Okay, I will.
So anyway, what if they took away the cinnamon twists?
I would be so sad. I would be super, super sad if they took away the cinnamon twists, because I like those a lot, too.
I like the potato, when they stick potatoes and stuff. And it's not like their potatoes are even all that good. I've taken to, it's hard to replicate the specific aspect. Like, this is what I'm really mad about. You can't make a Doritos Locos Taco at home.
Yes.
You go out, you can buy an El Paso. I think they actually make nacho cheese shells, but they're not the same. So, like, having a Cool Ranch flavor of a delicious taco shell with the beef and everything else and sour cream, you can't do that at home.
No,
but,
can't.
I like the idea of a meat and potato burrito, but theirs don't blow me away. So I've taken to making it at home. I will fry up some Mexican spiced potatoes.
Sure.
I'll get some Velveeta, melt it down.
Yeah.
I'll cook up some ground beef, and then I'll get my own whatever it is brand of delicious flour tortilla. You put it all in there. You got a meat and potato nacho burrito.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can lose that. I'll make that at home.
Right.
Just bring me my Cool Ranch tacos.
I know what you're saying. You want to be able to eat the things that you can't make at home.
What if I only jogged to the border from here on out? Maybe I won't be running so much. Gotta watch yourself, Taco Bell. You need me more than I need you.
That is so true.
That's not true at all. What's true is that you've found the Just Enough Trope podcast. I'm your host, Caliban, joined as always by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Mikan Hana.
And we're here to give you all the news that's fit to cast in the world of nerdy entertainment. Also, we're going to talk about something that was taken away and has been brought back to us.
Yes.
And we'll talk about whether that's a good or a bad thing. The Dark Crystal. Mm-hmm. A property from
1982.
Ages past.
Yes.
The narrator tells you, for thousands of cycles or whatever, the things regard through the mists of time.
Yes.
Something that I think Netflix, I don't know. I know advertising works. It doesn't really work on me because I never see it. So I don't know how much advertising Netflix has tried to do to promote this, but I feel like a lot of that work was trying to explain to people what this is.
I understand what you're saying.
Your core audience was born long, long after this was a very unsuccessful film.
Right.
So, what is the work of going, hear me out. There are some elves whose faces don't move. Right. Stay with me here.
Yes.
And then some half-eaten bird carcass creatures.
Yes.
Man at them. Wait a minute. Also, a ball of fur barks at you.
Yeah.
Oh, now you're on board. Okay. All right. Well, let's get into that. And also, we're talking, of course, about the Netflix series Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance.
Yes.
Featuring more stars than pretty much any movie that's on the screen right now.
Right.
An star-studded cast.
Yes.
We'll be talking about that. How's it going?
It's going good. Yeah. Excited to be talking about the Dark Crystal today, in all of its glory, ? It's interesting, like you were talking about how, like, you might have to describe to people, like, what it is. It's interesting that they decided that this is the property that we want to bring back. Because, like you said, it wasn't initially as popular as maybe they were hoping it would be.
I feel like every other show is about something that's on Netflix, and this is the good side of the Netflix spending spree, which is a lot of the time we're going 4 seasons of 13 Reasons Why. Why being the operative word.
Yes.
And Netflix is completely indiscriminate, and sometimes they hit something that maybe did deserve another chance, which is The Dark Crystal, and we'll talk about whether it did, and how they did it. But I know that they had been kicking this around for a while. When are we going to get that Farscape show?
That is a very good question.
Seems like Netflix is where it's going to land, right?
Yeah,
I think Farscape is still streaming on Netflix. It's a property without a home, really. I don't think it's been corralled into any of these walled gardens that every single IP holder is creating now.
Right.
So if you've got the license still, and Henson doesn't have a deal with anybody, let's do it, right?
Yeah.
Back to Dark Crystal. They'd been shopping this around for a while. We had actually reported on this a couple years ago that there was like a comic book they were talking about, and they wanted to do a movie or maybe a TV show. And so this is the result of that.
Yes.
And we'll talk about it later. But first, we got to talk about the news. And we're so good at jumping into the news, I forgot to mention that you should definitely check out our survey. There's a link in the show notes. If you haven't taken it yet, this is your last chance. We're finally going to close the doors on the survey. survey concerns our internet radio ambitions. And what we're going to do with that, Just Enough Trope Radio is cooking up like a
stir fry?
Mushroom risotto in Breath of the Wild.
All right.
And we're trying to figure out what we want to give to you. We want you to get what we want to give. And so you can give us our opinions in a very short survey. Like I said, look in the show notes to find that survey. We'd appreciate if you take that. Also, we've got Patreon content.
That's right.
Our Patreon has existed. We've always been willing to take your money just for the free services we provide. But we are now looking to populate it with more content, just things of interest to you, a nerd in the world. And the first shot in that volley is our new show, Sailor Noob. We're a Sailor Moon expert and a Sailor Moon virgin. Moon, Diana, goddess of virginity. That works. So I talk about Sailor Moon, episode by episode.
Yes.
All 200 episodes, going through, talking about what goes on in the episode, the characters, the story behind its creation, also looking at the aspects and elements of Japanese culture that you see in there. Yes. So a little nerdy and a little party, all in one show.
That's right.
That's available to our subscribers. Go to patreon.com/justenoughttrope to check that out. Okay, we're going to clean up some of the news we didn't get to about D23 from last week.
All right, sounds good.
I wanted to mention the Black Widow poster and the WandaVision poster that were revealed at that show.
Yes.
I don't think that they've actually been revealed on the internet yet. I mean, there are pictures that Disney has not threatened to take down that attendees from D23 have taken. So Disney's going with a viral, why would we pay for it marketing scheme here.
I guess so.
But anyway, we have seen a picture of the Black Widow poster.
Yes.
And it features art by Art Guy. I don't know the artist. I got to look it up. But and it features Natasha, and then she's flanked by the faces of the people who will appear in the film.
Yes.
She's got a new suit.
Uh-huh. Of course she does.
I don't know. Is the prequel?
This, I believe,
we don't really know.
Takes place between Civil War, where she kind of like disappears and goes off on her own, and Infinity War. That's what I've heard. Anyways.
She disappears and goes off on her own after Winter Soldier too. So
that's
a lot of
true.
spending time on her own.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course features David Harbour as the Red Guardian.
Yep.
Which I take it that's going to be. I don't know how they're going to tackle that. I mean, in the comics, he's kind of a Russian Captain America, so maybe he'll be like a Russian Captain America. Of course, it's David Harbour, so maybe it's like a few years on, because you wonder how they're going to do the Russian stuff in the post-fall the Soviet Union thing. But if it's David Harbour, then in his 20s, maybe he was Russian Captain America.
Well, that could be, I could see that.
And Rachel Weisz in a mysterious role that I'm assuming is going to be. Sorry, Julie Delpy. I guess you weren't enough star power, but you, of course, played the headmistress of the Red Room in Age of Ultron. But I feel like Rachel Weisz will have a role like that in this.
That's what I think as well.
And then Florence Pugh as the Elena Belova, the insouciant, snotty potential replacement for Natasha.
Yes.
And then some other people's faces who
we don't know.
I don't know. I figure they're just other Red Room. They're all girls, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Other Red Room faces.
Yeah.
A diverse cast of faces, but of course, the white girl is the main star of that.
Right.
And then a face that we don't know. Taskmaster, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
Is the major villain in this.
Yes.
May 2020.
Yeah. Less than a year. So that's coming up pretty quick, actually.
Good observation. What do you think?
I'm excited to see Taskmaster, just from what I've heard about him, that he learns your moves and then copies them. I think he's going to be a challenge for Natasha.
Wouldn't your moves be the moves that you understand the best, though?
Yeah. That's true. So you're saying he should understand his own moves the best?
Maybe you have a devastating left hook, right? Mm-hmm. But I guess if you get hit with that left hook once, you go, oh, it's my left hook. Okay, well, I throw this left hook all the time. I understand the defense against my own attack, or maybe you don't. Maybe the fire is the best weapon against the fire.
I see what you're saying.
What if you're Muhammad Ali and you're just rope it open him, and then Taskmaster's like, I'm going to rope it up, and then you just go to 15 rounds, two guys just rolling around on the ropes?
Well, right. Is that what we're going to have? I kind of feel like maybe we're going to have that.
What we're going to have is she's going to put her legs around his head. He's going to flip around, put his legs on her head.
Right.
And they're just going to spin around and create free energy. It's a perpetual motion machine of two people just spinning around on each other's heads. We also saw the WandaVision poster.
Yes.
And again, by the same artist. And I don't think these are the official posters. These look like variant covers to comic books to me.
I understand what you're saying.
To like, I'm not shitting on them. They look cool, but I don't think these are going to be the official posters. And it's a picture of Wanda and somebody who doesn't look much like Paul Bettany, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Sitting on a couch in a sort of 50s-esque living room.
Yep.
And their shadows on the wall cast by the TV are the outlines of the Vision and the Scarlet Witch in her comics costume that she's never worn in the movies. So
you're absolutely right.
That gives more fuel to my theory about just
it being variant,
like a comic-esque kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I see exactly what you're saying. I do like the thing that their shadows are cast in as their costumes.
Yeah,
I do like that.
Phantom Menace called it wants its idea back.
Right. I think it's a little interesting that they decided to do a poster for WandaVision because that's a Disney Plus show that is further on down the line. I can't remember now off the top of my head which one comes first. Is Loki first or is...
I think Loki will be the first.
Okay. All right. So I think Loki's first and then it's followed shortly thereafter by Winter Soldier and Falcon, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm kind of confused as to why they decided to do the WandaVision poster, but maybe they just want to get people to talk about it.
You got to keep it alive in their minds.
Yeah.
In their visions.
Sure. In their visions.
You've mentioned Loki. It was announced that Kate Herron will be directing some episodes of Loki. She was a director on a lot of Sex Education for Netflix.
Oh, I like Sex Education. I think that's a great show. So...
A different tone?
Oh, I think it should be a different tone. Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah. But that sounds good. Good to get some female directors in there. So, but that's all positive.
Yeah. Did we talk about how James Gunn, of course, he's doing Suicide Squad.
Right.
We talked about how Steve Agee was cast as King Shark.
I believe we did, yes.
Yeah. Well, it's recently been announced that Nathan Fillion will be joining the cast of Suicide Squad.
I heard that as well.
In a unknown role. But of course, they worked together on one of Gunn's first films, Slither, in 2006. Mm-hmm. So this is shaping up to be a real whack-tastic jamboree.
You think it's going to be more than like serious... This is serious. We're the squad, and we're gonna take down the bad guys so we can get our freedom.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I'm guessing maybe Nathan Fillion, who, let's face it, why doesn't the guy have a movie career already? Whenever he gets a movie role, it's like a joke. So he will be this movie's Slipknot. You know, he'll be the guy who's like, "Hey, everybody, I'm Catman." He's gonna be Catman. Let's just pick that right now. Too ridiculous in the minds of the film creators to survive.
Right.
So he'll get eaten by dogs, in the first reel or something.
Oh my goodness.
And then we'll just move on.
I think it's a shame that he hasn't been cast as like Booster Gold and something.
He's been working. Yeah, that'd be great. But he's been working steadily on TV.
Well, that's
since
true.
The end of Firefly. So
yeah,
no complaints coming from his area.
Yeah,
Disney did announce that their shows will come out weekly.
Oh, okay.
In the style of like a Star Trek Discovery or something like that. So they won't all come out in one big shot like Netflix.
You won't get to binge watch them.
Right.
Okay.
Which
is that's okay. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I like that too. Let's also talk real quick about the fact that Disney wants to do another Muppets show. They are doing another Muppets show.
Oh, okay. Do we have any idea what they're doing? Or are they just sort of like, let's do another Jim Henson. We like working with you guys. Let's do another show.
We don't know. It will be a short form, unscripted show called tentatively Muppets Now. Oh,
I see. So they specifically want a Muppet show with Kermit and Miss Piggy and all that.
The Muppets will be front and center.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I guess I'm a little confused. So is it just Sesame Street that's on HBO? It's not like all of the Henson properties? Okay.
Yeah. Children's Television Workshop.
Okay. All right. interesting. I mean, didn't they tried a couple years ago to do another Muppet Show, and that didn't really work.
And there was also a rumored Muppet Show before this, which is not this one, that was going to involve Josh Gad somehow, because why not?
I'm not sure I know who that is.
Josh Gad?
No, I don't.
He was in just about everything for a couple years.
Okay.
He's the voice of the snowman in Frozen.
Okay.
He was the voice of one of the abused dogs in that movie. They got in trouble for abusing dogs.
Awesome.
He was everywhere for a little while. He's like let a little bit of the air out of Jonah Hill and make him, and I can say this because you're Jewish, Jewier, and you've got, that's Josh Gad.
Okay. All right.
But as far as his I literally can't think of a live action role that he was in that you would.
That I would know.
You would know or remember.
Okay. All right. I hope that this Muppet Show is more successful than the last one. That's all I have to say about that.
What can we do with the Muppets now? Don't get me wrong. I grew up watching the Muppet Show.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Learning who Buffalo Springfield was. The Muppet Show's pretty old at this point.
Yeah.
Seeing Vincent Price show up or whatever. And that's a lot of my sort of comedic sensibility comes from the Muppet Show.
Yeah, absolutely.
I say waka waka unironically. But except for that pretty good one in like the late 90s or early 2000s, which was a little darker, but was pretty much the same thing, there just hasn't... Yeah, they're not doing it.
Do you
at the very least, Muppet Babies, right?
Oh, Muppet Babies was fun. What do you think that they're not as relevant anymore? I mean,
I think nobody knows what to do with them, and they were always, maybe it's a situation where they birthed the kind of tongue-in-cheek wink and nudge thing that we've got now. The fact that 30 Rock exists.
Well, right, I was just thinking about that.
And it was pointed out that it's just the Muppet Show,
live action.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Right.
And it was so successful, pretty successful, 30 Rock. We all love it. I don't know if we all watched it. I don't know, maybe it's just the thing where it's like, how do you do a Fantastic Four movie now that we've had two Incredibles movies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And 3 bad Fantastic Four movies.
Right.
And that show starring Michael Chiklis on ABC.
Well, I don't remember.
Super Family or whatever it's called.
That.
No Ordinary Family.
Wow.
Go back to the drawing board for
that
title. Side note, I looked up why the Shield was on Legion in that one episode.
Yeah, why was it?
It's not a good reason.
Oh.
Noah Hawley's just drunk with power at this point. So we talked about Legion a couple weeks ago. We're continuing to watch the 3rd season of the show.
Yes.
What's happening on the show is that the main character, David, has turned into a bad guy, but he feels bad about it, and he wants to harness the power of time travel to change events so he can be a good guy again, which is not how anything works, but that's kind of the point. And so he's got this girl whose time travel powers, they're using them, and they're kind of breaking time. They're kind of screwing up and making things bad. And so the characters are walking around and like seeing things repeat. They're showing up in places and not knowing how they got there. Like the whole world is experiencing these time distortions. He wanted the viewer to experience a weird time distortion. And so coming back from the second commercial break, suddenly we're watching Michael Chiklis as Vic Mackey in The Shield FX series from 10 years ago.
Right.
Until it flips back into the regular show. And so it's supposed to be like an Andy Kaufman meta-esque moment where you're like, am I back in time watching a show from the past?
I see.
It's like, all right.
Okay. Well, I thought maybe like...
if you're going to dig into FX clips, let's see some Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right?
Sure.
If you've got access to their library, what are we doing here?
Well, I guess I just thought that like maybe he had some like personal connection to the TV show or something like that, but that wasn't it either. It was just like...
No, and having seen all 7 seasons of The Shield, I could think of 10 other clips that would have been better than the one that they did, which I'm not sure if they were going for thematic resonance, but wasn't feeling it. Speaking of feeling things and Suicide Squad, Taika Waititi is apparently in talks to join the James Gunn film.
I heard about that. He's like everywhere, so...
What do you want to do, man?
Oh, do you want to act or you want to direct? Is that what you're saying? Do? Yeah, I know. He wants to do it all, I think.
Nobody knows what he's going to play. That's fine. But yeah, he doesn't want to play a director of a $1 billion earning film, I guess.
I know. So that it makes me think, well, is he going to do Suicide Squad? I mean, I know Thor 4 has like a while before it actually comes out. So I guess he's doing Suicide Squad before that. And isn't there like another film that he's supposed to direct? And I don't know when that's going to happen.
Well, he is going to need a job once Jojo Rabbit comes out and, offends everyone.
Right. Yeah.
Who knows? We'll see.
I know.
Any more Disney news? Do you have any comments on the footage about the Rise of the Skywalker footage?
I don't know what to think about the evil Rey, the Sith Rey, or the Sith C-3PO. I think
Sith-3PO.
Right. I think like the evil Rey. I mean, that could be. I even heard somewhere that it's a quote unquote vision. It could be a vision. It could be a dream. I don't think that what we're seeing is necessarily real. You know.
Well, you're right on the nose in that. The official Disney website, in their description of the footage, was describing it and said that we see this, and then we see a vision of Rey, with a red lightsaber, and then they later, if they had just left it, it probably would have been fine. But then they scrambled to change it to we see the sight of Rey or something like that.
Right.
Because
they
the word
changed
vision
the wordage.
is charged in a universe where people use the Force and see things in possible futures.
Well, right. Which tells me that is what it is. So,
case closed. Moving on.
I'm not upset about it.
I like the fact that when she's fighting Kylo Ren on the water thing, you can look in the puddles in the water and see that they haven't rendered his cape in. The cape is apparently all CGI.
Yeah.
Although, would he even reflect? Are those reflections practical?
Oh, that is a good question. I
Yeah,
don't know
I didn't
if
see
they
if
are.
they stepped in like real water puddles. I mean, how would you even know? They would just render ripples, and the reflection of you in a puddle, but they didn't render the cape for some reason. So
yeah, so that kind of sticks out.
Sure.
Yeah. So
yeah, other than that, it's hard to tell. We keep talking obliquely on every episode about Star Wars and what they've got ahead of them, so let's not do it on this one. But let's talk about the Obi-Wan TV show, which has been confirmed.
Yes.
Starring Ewan McGregor.
Yes.
Like we said, one of the best long bets in history. Only outstripped by the long bet of Ian McDermott as the Emperor, going,
right?
It's coming back around.
Right.
It's coming back around. Yes.
No one's ever really gone.
No one's ever really gone. That's not our bet. The show will take place 8 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Okay. I mean, sure. Why not? How long has it been since the prequel films? It's been longer than 8 years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a comic book story in, I think, the recent Marvel Star Wars comics.
Okay.
Where Obi-Wan, basically it's like, how close can we get to breaking canon without breaking it? Uh-huh. And somebody the whole point is that they're hiding Luke on Tatooine. He's supposed to be living his life, but also watching out for Luke, right? And so somebody gets wind of something and they send some killers and they actually end up confronting Luke. And he has to save Luke, but also does it in a way that Luke won't know that he's Obi-Wan Kenobi or that he's any more than Ben Kenobi. And I remember it being in I think maybe Jason Aaron wrote it. Like, it was an okay story.
Okay.
They could do that in this show and just have Luke be 8 instead of being 14 or whatever he was in that comic.
Yeah. That would make sense. And I think that could play out pretty good. And makes sense that somebody, in the intermittent years is going to go after Luke. Maybe they didn't hide him quite as well as they thought they did.
Yeah. Maybe somebody put the screws literally to the birthing robot.
Oh, boy.
Right? Tell me everything you know.
I don't even think about that.
She said, Luke, Leia. Now you know more than that. Tell me.
That's pretty good.
Maybe they don't have HIPAA laws in the Star Wars galaxy.
Oh, my goodness.
They just looked up and went, wait a minute. Right next to this death certificate, there's 2 birth certificates. Father, marked as Lars Owen Kenobi or whatever.
Right.
I get him. So.
I could see that. I could see HIPAA not being a thing.
Joel Edgerton is Lars. We should talk about Joel Edgerton. He's got a movie coming out on Netflix called The King.
Yes.
Which is a modern, but not modern, still swords.
Yes.
But a sort of reimagining, retelling of the tale of Henry V.
Yes.
It is co-written by him and other guy is also directing it.
Yeah.
And Joel Edgerton has cast himself as Falstaff because he's too old to play Henry V.
Yep.
And he's really leaned into the role. We used to joke that Joel Edgerton was the puffy Sam Worthington, but Joel Edgerton is now the puffy Joel Edgerton. Which makes him double puff.
Oh, you don't.
Sam Worthington.
Double puff. Is that extra delicious because he's double puff?
I guess. It's just sweet lard. I don't know what people see in it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not impugning his skills as a writer. I'm not really familiar with his skills as a writer. I do think that he's an okay actor, but he tends to end up in roles in real edgy movies. He's a drooler.
Okay, sure.
Like a guy that plays the Punisher.
Oh God, what's his name?
Ben Vereen. Not it. Although Ben Vereen is the Punisher. You're like, it's time to dance on crime's face.
Yeah, he times his tap dancing to the guns.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the bullets. That's great.
I don't remember his name. Sorry, huge fans of The Punisher, but I can't remember the guy's name. But I know that he works too hard.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everything he's in. Like, he was in Fury. Now, Fury is a David Ayer movie. Also, this guy's in a lot of David Ayer movies. David Ayer is the ultimate, edgy try-hard, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's like, what if we just played straight a amoral crew of tank drivers who are maybe rapists, definitely war criminals. What if we just did that? No, can I understand too, like I got an accent like this and my head is shaved and I'm like, oh, we're going to get them crowds. Sure, you can do that. Go ahead.
I know.
Whatever your name is.
I know.
That's, and the funny thing about the Punisher is that, like, and we've been talking long enough at this point that we need to know his name. So why don't you look up his name while I keep talking about the Punisher?
Right.
But the thing about the Punisher is he has moments like that in the Punisher, but the Punisher is actually weirdly like one of his most nuanced like roles. Like he doesn't do that. Like the big standout of the Punisher thing is like the 1 batch, 2 batch thing, right? Not in his own series. In the Daredevil series, which is like a restrained, relatable sort of speech. Like I was like, wow, this guy's actually doing okay now. Then you go to his own series and he's like, I'm gonna hit this wall with this sledgehammer. And you're like, whoa, guys, he's sledging of all the hammers, he's the sledgiest.
Right. I get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull it up here, but
you are not.
Computer is taking a while.
A Googler. I don't even know what the problem is. It's a blank space.
The computer went to sleep.
Name, Taylor Swift.
I don't know the code.
All right. Well, anyway, the actor behind the Punisher, his name is Royce Johnson. That's the first name I saw in this article that I looked up that promised me that his name would be there. We're making a whole bet out of this. Actually, it's Brett Mahoney. Nope, that's who Royce Johnson plays. We're just going to keep going.
Okay, all right.
It's Amy Rutberg. Nope, that's the co-star of The Punisher. Now, how long does it have to go until we get to the name of the guy?
Name. Yeah, I don't know. This is ridiculous.
Look, it's Jeff Loeb. We know that it's Jeff Loeb. It's John Bernthal.
Okay, that sounds right.
I should have just said Thomas Jane and we ended the segment. That would have been a lot funnier. But yeah, that Tom Jane, he's always overacting. It's like the opposite of a Tom Jane.
Yeah.
One unit of Tom Jane equals one underplayed thing. Mortal Kombat is coming back.
Yes.
Can you believe it?
I cannot. I have to
New
confess,
Line Cinema, which may have did the old one?
Maybe.
I think Mortal Kombat was a New Line movie.
I have not seen the original Mortal Kombat.
Well, there's nothing we can do with you. Much like the original Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Let's say the sequel. You don't know who any of these people are.
Oh, okay.
No, they're all like B-movie stunt actors, karate actors.
I mean, I guess that makes
karate
sense.
Actors, new series on YouTube. You know you'd watch it.
I totally would.
So it's kind of it's a bet. It's a bet on these people. But
yeah,
if we can keep the sort of cheesy fun but like double down on good effects.
Yeah.
Because it's all, you're shooting ice balls and stuff, right?
Right,
It's all
right.
effects. And we won't take bullshit karate anymore. We need like real
Actual
deal
karate.
Yeah, Ray Park kicking somebody in the face.
Right.
None of this doing the splits on your kitchen counters. Just seeding some ideas for the future.
Yes.
Something to talk about.
I want to know, like, don't you feel like maybe they should have, if there are no names, that's fine, but maybe, like, make the bad guy, like, a name?
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
That would be awesome.
I'm still kicking.
Yeah.
I must be on Broadway. Yeah, maybe. Or Ron Silver.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Ron Silver. So, Time Cop, terrible film, but came at the exact right time for many people who are now creating things. And
yes.
so when, this is not a name day for me. This
it's
is
okay.
not my name day. When Dan Harmon and Rob Schraub created Heat Vision and Jack.
Yes.
The most famous unbought pilot of all time.
Yeah.
The bad guy in it, who was trying to capture Jack Black's genius astronaut and his motorcycle, voiced by Owen Wilson,
Yeah.
was Ron Silver.
Oh, really?
The actor Ron Silver playing the actor Ron Silver.
Oh my goodness. My head is going to explode.
Yes. Somehow he was involved in a government conspiracy, and so he was basically playing his character from Time Cop. The guy that, like, eats nuts and then smashes his AIDS face into a wall and then eats more nuts.
Okay.
I haven't seen Ron Silver in a while.
That's funny. Yeah, what's he
Actually,
up
that's
to?
not true. He's probably on a CBS political show and is doing great, but I haven't seen him in a while.
No, I haven't either.
Seems like Time Cop maybe wasn't the coming out that he hoped it would
yeah,
be.
maybe not.
For anybody. For anybody. Bruce McGill did okay, but everybody else.
Right?
Yeah, Mia Sara, nobody got out of that one alive. What else do we want to talk about? I got a story about Rotten Tomatoes. I don't really want to talk about it.
Okay.
Andy Muschietti, director of the It films.
Oh, yeah?
Among some other horror films, is now signed on. He's waiting on a line of to be the next to direct the Flash movie.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Well, that seems like a kind of odd choice.
Well, they asked him about that. And he said, I know I'm a horror guy. It's not going to be a horror thing. This will be a celebration of the light, fun Flashness.
Okay. I guess we'll just see a different side of his directing ability then. Interesting to see. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Best of luck. And hopefully this movie will actually get made. That's kind of how I feel at this point. Because, I don't even know how many iterations or, like, versions of this movie we've talked about at this point.
Waited on a line of greens and blues?
Is that how it goes?
What does that even mean?
I don't know what that means.
You know the song?
No, I don't.
I'm the one who wants to be with you.
Oh, yeah, I know that song. Now that you sing it.
I hope you feel it too.
Oh, now you're throwing it to me.
You forgot that's the... Grace, you gotta do that.
Feel it too.
Wait, okay, all right. Not the just enough singing perfect pitch podcast.
All right.
It's waited on a line of greens and blues.
Does it just rhyme? Is that why they did it?
He's singing a song.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to save this. Let's finish up the news.
Okay.
The Joker, speaking of greens and oranges, The Joker got an 8-minute standing ovation at Venice Film Festival. The reviews are in.
You are
the
kidding
Joker
me.
Is wild about getting his Oscar because it's such a good movie.
Seriously?
Okay, let me talk about this. I wanna see a video. I wanna know what this means because I have been a stage performer for most of my life.
Yes.
And I have received some standing ovations. I've received some applause where you're like, okay, all right, people, please. Not personally, it could have been the guy next to me, but I've been on the receiving end of that.
Yes.
8 minutes is a long time.
It's a very long time.
You know, you've been listening to this podcast for 8 times something minutes.
Right.
We could do a bit, we're not going to do it, where I'll just say, I'm starting it, we'll do some more stories and come back. In fact, I just described it, we should have done it. What a great bit, we're not doing it. You would be surprised how long 8 minutes is. Nobody's going to stand around for 8 minutes for a clap. So you're talking about like, after the movie was over, people clapped. Then director Todd Phillips came out and said, let me introduce the cast to you. And then they brought Joaquin out, and people clap for 45 seconds, which is also a very long time.
That is a very long time.
No, I'm making this up. This didn't happen. See. And then you bring Robert De Niro out, and people clap for Mean Streets or whatever, and then they're clapping for a long time. And it all adds up to 8 minutes. It's not like the last credits rolled, and the projector went... They don't even do that anymore because it's digital.
Right.
And then people just like... Woo! Yeah, kill me, Joker! And it just went for 8 minutes?
It's hard for me to wrap my head around because even like, you go to a concert and people stand up and clap to get the ovation, the standing ovation, like,
you mean the encore?
The encore, thank you. That's what I meant.
John Bernthal.
Right. You want the musicians to come back out.
They're going to encore. Come out and play hits.
They're going to come back out regardless if you clap or not. So you can just stand around and let everybody else clap. But even that is like maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes tops, and then they come back out and they play 2 to 3 more songs. And
which point?
It's not 8 minutes.
I'm guessing there's a point.
That is a ridiculously long amount of time.
Yeah.
For a standing ovation. It's hard for me to imagine what that even looks like.
Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine this movie's any good. We'll have a review when it comes out later this year.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of reviews of things, what's your review of the Terminator Dark Fate trailer?
I don't know. It looks okay.
It's coming together.
It looks better than the last trailer, but...
I think it's coming together.
Okay. I mean... Sarah Connor is like a badass, so, whatever. But I don't know which version of Arnold they meet, because it's not the one in T2 because he, like, melts himself.
I guess I said your thoughts, so these are your thoughts. Not whether it's good or bad. You just asked, literally give me your thoughts.
Well, but she says, I'm going to kill you at the end.
I don't think that Genesis exists, so he's not liquid metal Arnie. That's not a thing.
Right. Right. I don't know what version of Arnie he is.
Who could he even be?
I have no idea.
Plus, there's time travel, so we don't even know. They could have gone back in time and pulled him out of the molten...
That's true.
It could be T2 Arnold. Like, we don't know.
Okay.
And I've got 2 things. One, actually, I've got 3. First one is stop.
Stop making these movies?
Yeah. 2, it stopped because at this point it's so messed up. I get that you think that... time travel, which can rewrite history, allows you to do a reboot without doing a reboot. If you want to do a reboot, do a reboot. Mm-hmm. Forget that all exists. Give us something brand new. That seems to be what you're trying to do. But point 3, how many times can we do vulnerable person being hunted by future robot?
Yep.
Other person, well-trained soldier, reprogrammed robot, human Terminator hybrid, comes back to save them. There is some kind of giant vehicle crash, and it'll end in a factory. I'm tired of watching this movie now. I don't want to watch this movie anymore. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
You could remake Citizen Kane in 10 different ways. It's a bike. It's not a sled. It's
right.
So it's a stack of pornos. It's Rosebud. It could be a lot of things.
It's a scooter. Yeah, I know.
Much funnier than you gave it credit for. A scooter. Okay, scooter. Better than stack of pornos. But it's like, you know what? Loved it. Loved it the first time. Don't want no more of it.
Yeah.
So, what? They're going to do it.
What is it going to take for them to learn to not do it anymore? Like
this crashing, burning, and failing, but that happened to Genesis. Actually, Genesis made a little money. Did okay. So who knows?
I think if they just keep making money, they're going to keep making them.
That's how the movie business works.
Yep.
Speaking of people who can't learn...
Yeah?
Richard Linklater wasn't satisfied with a movie that took 12 years to make. He wants to make a movie that will take 20 years to make.
I don't understand this. I don't understand why this is a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's a bad idea. And I can't imagine he actually found some actors that are willing to do it. So it's kind of like, 20 years is a very long time for a commitment for anything.
Yeah, he'll be 79 when it's finished.
It's crazy to me.
Now, it's not... Here's the pitch. It is... He wants to do a musical version of Merrily We Roll Along. I mean, it is a musical. One of Sondheim's musicals.
Yeah.
Which is based on a play from the 30s. I think the Sondheim musical was out in the early 80s. And it itself covers like 15 years of a movie producer's life, basically.
Sure.
So that's what he wants to do. He wants it to shoot it over a 20-year period, like in real time.
Yeah.
Sondheim will long have departed the stage once it finally comes out, so he doesn't care. He's just paying for the funeral at this point, right?
Yeah.
No offense. I hope he goes on forever. Linklater wants to, I don't know. You look at Boyhood, and I remember it took 12 years to make, but I don't think I ever cared about the process behind it.
No.
But you've got your buddy Ethan Hawke, who will do whatever, because you guys are buddies. Sure, I'll show up and shoot some more scenes.
Right.
You've got a kid who doesn't care, because he's just a kid, and he doesn't plan on really being an actor.
Right.
You've got, speaking of long cons,
yes.
Patricia Arquette played the long con real well, and got an Oscar out of it, so good investment there. And then in just everybody else, I guess. So that's one thing. But, like, who's going to work on this? Who's going to agree to go on this 20-year journey with him?
Right.
It's a musical. Music from 20 years ago won't be... You write the songs now.
Yes.
Will it even sound good in 20 years? We'll all be listening to a robot farting in 20 years.
Right.
So will that even... It's like a lot of, like, Guys and Dolls at some point reached... a nostalgic zone, you know? Like if Guys and Dolls is all like, Luck Be a Lady. If you listen to Guys and Dolls in the early 60s, you'd be like, don't give me that Luck Be a Lady swing stuff. I want to hear psychedelic rock or whatever.
Sure.
But then at some point it became like, oh, it's like the music of it's this Damon Runyon thing.
Right.
Will the music itself be on the other side of a nostalgia horizon? Will it be like, I'm just a girl who can't say no or something like that? Will it be something that is timeless in its own way? I mean, these are all questions that clearly Rick Linklater has the answer for.
He must, otherwise he wouldn't be pushing forward with us. So I don't know, and I don't know if I don't think he can really predict the future either. Maybe he thinks that he can. Maybe he's like, I want to do this because nobody else has done it before. And it's a novelty sort of thing.
Well, it's certainly a novelty thing. We got it. You know what? The next Terminator movie, I want to see directed by Richard Linklater.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And take 12 years to make.
Well, when's the 2079? When's the future? Right. And then when's the present?
Yeah.
Shot in real time.
Oh my gosh.
Over 35 years.
Oh.
Post Judgment Day. Won't be a lot of theaters. It'll have to be digital distribution.
Right.
All the theaters are blown up.
Oh my goodness.
And we'll see it done in real time.
Oh, that's
They'll
terrifying.
invent robots to play robots in his film.
Right.
You're just making life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Art is not life.
No.
Sometimes they imitate each other.
Right.
You're literally just doing life.
Yes.
There is a Bourget story about how the citizens of this country want to make the most accurate map possible, right? Mm-hmm. And so in order to do that, you have to have scale. So you can see specific things on the map. And eventually the map of their country becomes the size of their country and just lays over the country.
I mean,
the most accurate map possible.
Sure. Yeah.
The map is the territory.
Yeah.
Richard Linklater. It took 20 years and Apocalypse to make.
Right?
Okay, the reason that I brought up Just to Be With You, because that's a song by Mr. Big. Uh-huh. Mr. Big was a band in the 90s. They had one hit.
I was going to say,
To Be With You.
Yeah.
Waiting on a line of greens and blues.
Weird.
I think this is... I bought the cassette single for this song. It's one of the first cassette singles I ever bought. And the reason I bring it up is because the lead singer looks like a Gelfling. He is on the left in this picture that I have brought up. It'll definitely probably be the show art for our show. He looks like Jen to me.
He totally does.
Doesn't he?
He's got the long flowy hair and a smile, but like a kind of like a mask. Like,
ooh, his smile is a mask. Oh, you should write poetry and then throw it away.
Stop. I just mean like he's smiling, but his face isn't really moving. Like,
now, it's tough in older pictures because he's got a thing, first of all, just for men, that he's on it.
Yeah.
But look at this. This is horrible radio, but look how stretched and long his face is. He has a long face.
And he's got kind of a mullet
He has
going.
the full lips, of the puppet. He's got cheekbones that you could, cut cheese on.
Yes.
Look at this.
He totally looks like a gelfling. He is a
real-life gelfling. So, and then plus he's, it's the early 90s, so they're wearing gloves, they're wearing poet shirts and vests. They look like they're in a fantasy situation.
Yes, they do. Yeah. They're wearing fantasy clothing, which kind of makes... a
lot of lace.
Yeah. The mystics and the podlings must have been able to sew...
Oh.
Yeah.
I always thought there'd be they're all building this chord, and then the mystics and they're like, Gary,
learn your part.
Told you not to chant with us. You're tone deaf. This guy's no mystic. The Mystics, of course, come from the film The Dark Crystal, a 1982 film directed by Jim Henson and Frank Oz, and written by Jim Henson, starring nobody.
Nobody?
Well, I mean, just a bunch of voice actors that nobody would be really familiar with. But yeah, it was a 1982 fantasy adventure voiced by Frank Oz and by Jim Henson, Catherine Mullen, Dave Gels et al., all storied voice actors in their own right.
Sure.
What is the story of Dark Crystal?
Well, there is this magical land called Thra, and there is a dark crystal that is important to all things Thra, and this group of kind of evil giant lizard birds, the Skeksis, they guard the crystal and get power from the crystal. The crystal gives them new life. And they're very selfish creatures, and they take podlings and gelflings who are smaller creatures and drain their essence using the dark crystal. So basically, they use this crystal that's connected to the land to benefit themselves, and it has hurt the land as a whole. There is a, what is it called? There is a prediction that... Prophecy. Thank you.
Us in words.
I know.
Not hooking up today.
Prophecy that a gelfling will destroy the Skeksis. So the Skeksis, in response to that, have killed most of the gelflings. But little do they know that there is a gelfling named Jen who lives with the Mystics. And his master dies and sends him on a quest to get a shard for the crystal, and then he doesn't know what else to do with the shard, but he has to go find this woman named, is it
Agra.
Agra, thank you. Who is kind of a magician type person. She's like a sorcerer, and he needs to go get the crystal from her. He does that, but the Skeksis are sending these evil bugs out to, destroy and kill and get the gelflings, and he meets another gelfling named Kira, and together they try to figure out what to do with the shard, and that's basically the adventure of the story.
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yes, it is your very typical, and remember, we're working from the George Lucas playbook here.
Yeah.
This coming out before Return of the Jedi, but just, in the middle of Star Wars. What do you call it? Fervor.
Yeah.
Astral fervor. And so, it's a boy on a quest who must go through a threshold and meet a goddess and do the whole deal.
Yeah.
It's all invented from the mind of Jim Henson.
Mm-hmm.
He, has created the Muppets and Kermit's, beating other people up in coffee commercials in the early days. But he always had this in his mind, and he thought that at the time he said that this was this is the most important thing I've ever done.
Right, right.
Is it really the most important thing I've ever done? Probably not, though. But he was really serious about it, and when it didn't succeed, and it didn't really succeed, it was kind of a blow to him. He always wanted this to be a real successful and to be well loved.
Yes,
and it has become something of a cult hit, over time. I remember I didn't see this when I was young. I did see it when I was older. But I had like the comic book adaptation of it when I was a kid.
Okay.
And I don't know. I can't remember who wrote it or who drew it, but I don't think it was very clear because when I watched the movie, I was like, oh, okay, there's a okay. Like it didn't tell the story very well.
Oh, I see. Okay. I had a similar experience with the film. I did not see it until I was older as well, and I actually had a friend give me the DVD for my birthday. And I was kind of like, I think I was a little judgy of it because it's like, I'm not a kid. I didn't see this as a kid, so I'm not like nostalgic about it.
That's why you're normal. Well, because it would have been pretty traumatizing.
Right? It's kind of dark for like a quote-unquote kids film. I don't know would you consider this to be a kid's film? I mean, I know it's puppets. Okay.
Yes. If it was an adult film, it would be more interesting.
No, you're right.
It's amazing how boring this movie is for all of the amazing creature designs.
Yeah.
And what's at stake. I think it is very basic and it's very slow. It feels a lot longer than it is.
I feel like having...
Yeah, that's right. I'm taking on Dark Crystal.
Yeah, I know. I feel like watching it again with more critical eyes... I feel like I can appreciate the film a little bit more.
As an achievement, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you would not get... I mean, we were talking about Farscape before. You go on to something from the late 90s, early 2000s, like Farscape, where you've got humans interacting with puppets, and it's imaginative, and the reason you're using puppets is because you can do things that you couldn't do normally. You can have a big Birdman with a neck that couldn't support his head.
Right.
A neck that's maybe the width of a man's arm or leg. You couldn't do any of that with, pustules and just all gross hairs and stuff like that.
Right.
That would be all CG now.
Yeah.
I bet this cost nothing. I bet it cost a lot to build all these puppets, but it cost nothing compared to what it would have cost to do CG renders. And there is CG in the show, which we'll talk about later. But the detail, like they are at the height of their game. Just watching it for the creature designs, the attention to detail. Yeah. That, a little spoiler, I think is missing a little bit from the TV show, but we'll get into that. It's shooting on HD is tough.
Yeah.
You can't get away with as much.
That is true.
But just in like the very first scene where the Skeksis are doing the ritual of the sun or whatever, and they're trying to get life energy from the crystal, and light hits the crystal, it shoots out into their eyes. Eyes are really important in this world.
Absolutely.
And we kind of get an introduction to, I don't think we look at every face, but we look at most of the faces of the Skeksis. And we'll have to know them just by their visual look, because they all have titles. But the movie never communicates that. You would only know the titles if you read the back matter,
Yeah.
We hear Emperor and we hear Chamberlain, and that's about it.
Yeah.
There's a scientist, there's the heretic, there's all, there's the chef, there's the Schwann's guy, there's like different names for all of them, but you never know these names. But as we focus in on all their faces, you see the amazing detail, and you see the articulation of the puppets in... We know this is a tense moment. We're supposed to feel like they feel sick and old, and that this light is important to them. Right. And you see like they breathe. You see like the twitching of an eye. You try to like hold your eyes open like in a staring contest. Sure. Like one guy's eye is kind of twitching. One guy like swallows, like his gorge goes up and down. And he's just like drinking in this sort of light. Yes. You're setting the stage immediately for like, wow, what are we in for? Right. We're in for watching a marionette walk around for 2 hours. I am not impressed by the Gelfling design. No. I wish they could have done more. Maybe it's a thing where, you can project yourself onto something that is plainer. It would be hard for us to follow a Skeksis as a hero. Yeah. But the cute Gelflings who like this, start talking. Like, they barely move.
Yeah.
We're supposed to see them as, like, the heroes.
Well,
I like the Boblins more than them.
You like the what more than them?
The Boblins or the Bobkins or whatever?
Okay, sure.
The little guys.
The little guys?
The Podlings.
Podlings? I like the Podlings too, and I think it is an interesting choice because you think about other creatures that the Henson and company have created over the years. And like,
even Kermit
I was
can
just
do
thinking
that thing
about that.
where the puppeteer makes his hand into a fist, and so Kermit's lip curls under his other lip.
Right. Like he's irritated or something like that. Yeah, Kermit is way more expressive than the Gelflings, and I agree with you. I think that is...
There's a Team America thing going on.
Yeah.
And I don't think you want that.
No, I don't think you do either. Like, these are the characters...
only in the face.
Yeah.
The movement is incredible. Like, you don't... and it's not strings, but I mean, you don't see the strings, so to speak. For long shots, there's a real human actor that's wearing a Gelfling mask, but that's seamless when they're jumping up things or climbing down rocks. I mean, it's all an unbelievable achievement that if it had succeeded, we would have been looking at a slew of puppet movies in the 80s, I think.
Oh, sure.
But we didn't get that.
No. And I think maybe that's one, the Gelflings being not as expressive, I think is one thing that I did, when I initially watched this film, I didn't really end up relating to them that well, because how can, you're kind of like shut off emotionally. Yeah. Which is a negative.
Well, it's tough because there's two of them left, period. So they don't have a society to talk about. Like, the one is raised by a bunch of walking noses, basically. Yes. And then the other one's raised by podlings who are awesome, but don't get a lot of development in this film. Right. Outside of just being like the Ewok characters.
Yeah, pretty much.
Speaking of connections to other properties, do you see what I see, Little Drummer Boy? That it's clear that Shigeru Miyamoto got his inspiration for Legend of Zelda from this?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Do I need to sell it more?
Well,
you've got a young elf-like creature. Yeah. Goes on a quest. Yep. For a thing of power. Yes. That involves a triangle. He meets a blonde princess who he ultimately must help and save and whatever. Yes. There's an ocarina. Right. I don't know what else to tell you. Yeah. He's got to restore a land from darkness to light. There's a power. Yes. There's a palpable darkness which must be cleansed in exchange for light. Yes.
I think you're onto something. Yeah.
It's dangerous to go alone. Don't take anything. The mystics just go, you gotta go on a quest, dude.
I know.
And then it's like, you guys gonna give me a gun or a flashlight or something? Nope.
They don't give him anything. And I get that it's a kid's movie, but still, you feel like you're gonna be attacked. Hate to break it to you, but... So,
well, we meet Agra, who is another amazing contraption. There's clearly a human being in there, but like her puppet is incredible. The eye thing is weird.
It's so weird.
Inspired, I think, by Greek mythology. There's some characters that share an eye or something like that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but she's neat. Nobody dies in this, do they? Well, the one podling... Well... The podling attack... I don't think a single creature dies in this, except for the one guy that falls.
Yeah, there's a Skeksis and then a Mystic that die in this. Yeah. But that's it.
Because otherwise everybody's just captured. You see these like giant crab things and you're like, oh man, that's bad. But all they do is just like grab people and they're kind of dumb. So
they're pretty dumb. Yeah. I like
they're
how
the Kool-Aid men.
I know.
Because you'll just there's just a random scene going on that's like, we're having a pretty good time. Oh my God! They just bust through the wall of the studio.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And they were told by the Skeksis to get the Gelfling and they have this huge...
they don't know what a Gelfling looks like.
Apparently. But like they just grab a bunch of podlings. Yeah. And they're like, oh, this is good. We'll bring them back. It's like, wow, you guys are really bad at your job.
Yeah. And what this thing suffers, I think, because you've got this character who is going on this Lord of the Ringsy quest. Mm-hmm. In fact, at one point he even says, I wish the shard had never come to me. It's like, okay. I know. All right, Frodo. Yeah. But he's got nobody to talk to until halfway through the movie. And so it's just a bunch of clumsy voiceover. Which is not good.
Very true. Yeah. Yeah.
He's literally just going, I wonder if Agra's around here. Puppet, you're looking around. Like, we get what you're looking for. It's clumsy.
It is clumsy. And then, like, we get the moment where, like, he has to pick the shard, and he's like, which one should I pick?
And you get his,
I don't know.
His Aulus, his
ocarina thing.
Two-pipe thing out.
Yeah. And then he plays, and then he can tell which one it is, which is
that's
like,
cool.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
But, like, why did we have to hear him say, which one is it? Like, we could just see him looking at them.
Yeah. But we know he's got to do something with it, and I feel like it's too bad that Kira has to be... It's like when Kira's kidnapped, and then we introduce this element of we drain the essence of things. You know, we've turned the podlings into, like, gray, mindless slaves, and I'm going to do that to her now. Now, suddenly there's stakes, because it's like saving the world is maybe too big for him to understand, but he does understand that he doesn't want that cute girl with the wings to get hurt. Drained, so now he's got to get in there and do something.
Yeah. It kind of lights a fire under him, in other words.
What was going on with... We're not going to talk about the show yet. Because we'll get there in a second.
Yep.
What was going on with the connection between the Skeksis and the Mystics? I was given to understand that... And they say this at various points in the film. That 1,000 years ago...
Yeah.
I think, which is not very long.
No.
I mean, it's long, too long for Linklater to make a movie about it. But but it's like they did something... to the crystal, or they got greedy with power. And it seemed to imply that they were split into the Skeksis and the Mystics.
Yeah, it seemed to be that's what it was.
So that we see the Chamberlain, we see all these like other Mystics, or Skeksis, and they are, in a way, the Mystics.
Yes.
So much so that like one of them falls in the volcano and like one of the Mystics just burns up.
Yeah.
And so once they finally get there and go, oh, they all merge together and become the weird white tree people.
Yes.
Who
exactly.
Can resurrect a Gelfling. Which
right.
Is like, all right.
Well, and there's at one point, because he wasn't given a weapon, Jen like takes the shard and like scratches one of the Skeksis in the hands, and we see that a mystic is bleeding.
Yeah.
So we get a little bit of a sense that they're connected before we actually know that they are.
Yeah. Well, so let's continue that thought by giving a rating.
I would recommend it. I guess.
Oh, that's right. We don't do ratings. We do.
Well,
I was thinking of Sailor Noob.
I guess I would. I don't know if I would give it a 3 or a 4.
No. We go thumbs up, thumbs down.
Okay, I would recommend it. I guess I would just say keep an open mind when you're watching it, because this is a fully realized world. I feel like, even though it could be more detailed than it is, but it is a world.
Yeah, that's something when people talked about, like, the Netflix series, will revisit the amazing lore of the... Does it have amazing lore? There's basically 2 locations in the film.
I know.
There's the Mystic Camp, and then the endpoint, the castle. And then on the way, there's Agra's orrery, and then there's the Boblin Village. I know I got it wrong again.
The Podlin Village, yeah.
So, well... I would recommend it because, it's worth seeing. We're going to change all that when we come up with The Age of Resistance, a prequel. Hey, where are you going? A prequel series to the Dark Crystal film, which is going to fulfill the promise of that amazing lore world that we're going to see.
Right.
And it's on Netflix right now.
It is.
We're talking about the first couple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a star-studded cast.
It
Taron
is.
Egerton of a bunch of movies that I've not watched. He's probably the most famous movie star whose movies I have not watched because they don't look very good to me. Mark Hamill is in it.
Yes.
Your ears will tell you immediately.
Yeah.
Anya Taylor-Joy has a large role. Nathalie Emmanuel from Game of Thrones is in it. Helena Bonham Carter is in it. Andy Samberg, Natalie Dormer, Simon Pegg, Alicia Vikander, Eddie Izzard, Keegan-Michael Key, Jason Isaacs, Toby Jones, Mark Strong, Gugu Mbatha Raw, Catriona Balfe, Harvey Fierstein, who... Still going. Love that Harvey Fierstein. On and on and on and on and on.
And Sigourney Weaver as the narrator.
Yes, and Sigourney Weaver as the beaver. If we didn't mention Awkwafina, Lena Headey, and Shazad Latif, we just didn't have the time. What happens in Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance?
Well, we're starting... Gosh... I'm sure the narrator mentions the year.
Don't know, because we don't talk about years. Now they're... I was going to say Arns, that's Farscape. But they have some word that is supposed to mean year.
Yeah. But we're going so far back that the world is still populated with gelflings. There are 7 different tribes, we are told.
Which we fly over the land and we see their sigils and stuff. And it's like, guys, calm down.
I know.
Calm down.
I know.
We would have watched it anyway.
Yeah. But they're going really hard on that. And one of the ones...
I don't want it.
I know. One of the areas that we see is Hara, which is ruled...
Hurrah!
Yeah, it's ruled by... They're the ruling gelflings. They're the supposedly most intelligent. They rule over all the other gelflings.
They're the most Tolkien elf of the gelflings.
Yes, and there is a queen who rules the land, and the Skeksis work really well together. She has 3 daughters, the youngest of which... is incredibly curious. Yeah. She's... Yeah, exactly. She
loves books.
She loves books. She's kind of like Belle and Ariel combined. She's super curious about everything. And she loves books.
Belle is Ariel, isn't she?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. Only one wants to get married real bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Gets married whether she likes it or not.
Right. So she's, like, just trying to find out, like, what is going on. She later gets, like, this weird vision, and she goes to these gelflings that are kind of like mystics. So she's a character that we're following. There are also gelflings in the castle where the Skeksis live and work with the crystal. And they are there to guard the Skeksis and, like, take them on
they work
government visits and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so we meet a couple of gelfling there. One is named Mira, and gosh, what is the guy's... Rian? Yeah, is the guy's name. And they're in love, and his dad is the captain of the gelflings and is charge of the safety of the Skeksis and stuff like that. So he's really well respected, but gosh, I forgot his name already.
Which one? Rian?
Rian. Yeah. Wow. Rian.
Or is it Ryan?
I think it's Rian.
Depending on whether he directed The Last Jedi or not.
Right. But he really wants his father's respect and everything, but he just, whatever he does, he seems to get himself in trouble.
Yep.
And then we meet another gelfling who lives where the gelflings live underground, which I forget what that area is called.
I don't know.
But her name is like Deet or Deidre.
Deet.
And there is a magical tree underground that talks to her, and she gets this vision of the darkening, and the medicine woman is like, you have to go see the queen and let her know. And she's like, okay, and she has to go above ground. It's her first time above ground, and she runs into a podling who helps protect her from, like, this spider-like creature, and then they decide to go to Hurrah together. So she's kind of on a quest, and Rian later is on a quest of his own to also go to the queen. So the Skeksis have kind of become more evil just in this first episode, because they discover
that they can suck the life out of people. So
yes.
That's bad.
So they decide they're going to do that to preserve themselves. And that's what Rian is going to warn the queen about.
Yeah.
So,
I want to make sure, in all this hubbub and all this listing of characters and names and places that populate this world, I want to make sure that you did talk about Hup, because Hup is bae.
What?
Hup is the podling that we meet.
Yes.
Who's a podling paladin.
Yes. And he has a magical spoon that is a sword.
Yes. And we meet him as he's like combing his hair, and he's getting ready for his day, and he's like eating a little, so eating this oatmeal, it's good stuff. And then he, fixes himself up, and then he's like, shakes his hair out, and he's like, yeah, I'm looking good. And he gets out there. Yeah. I love that you could not go 10 episodes in this without digging into the podlings.
Well, that's very true. And
they were just set dressing in the first film, but
I'm glad we're getting to see a little bit more of them as well. And we realized too that Ogra in the second episode, like I'm not sure how long.
Yeah, we have to talk about the world building here because there is something of a retcon, unless I don't understand what's going on, which is we were led to believe in the first movie that we don't know exactly the origin of the Skeksis and the Mystics, but that they're one somehow.
Yes.
And when this starts, Sigourney Weaver tells us right out that they're aliens. They are literally from another planet. We know that Thea is not Earth. It is another world. It has 3 suns. Thra, yeah. And that the Skeksis come from another planet. So they are basically aliens who had technology or magic and basically took over this planet. And so now they live in this situation where everybody on the planet was like, all right, whatever. Clearly they're smart and they have knowledge and power, so we're just going to work for them.
Yes.
We don't know how. I'm assuming it must be 1,000 years before Dark Crystal.
Something like that.
And so the events of this show, which we have not finished yet, will feature them becoming corrupted and splitting into, because there are no mystics on the ground here. We don't see any mystics. Nobody's mentioned them.
Ogra mentions them once.
Really?
She does. She's like, maybe I could go to the mystics, and then she was like, no, there's no time for puzzles. I'm going to go to the Skeksis, and they'll know what's going on.
Okay, well, so I don't know where we are.
Right.
A lot of things get lost in the mists of time, and so maybe they don't know their own history. I certainly don't. And we also get that Ogra's I didn't like the way it was phrased, because it seemed like she kind of sold the planet out.
It did.
Because the Skeksis,
I didn't like that either.
We found out that Skeksis built her orrery, or gave her orrery.
Yes.
And so she uses that to be an astronaut, basically, and travel through and explore space.
Yes.
And she does it for long, long periods of time, which I found fascinating. I mean, we know that she's old, but we also know that she's not... I don't think she's, alive or human in the general sense. She's some kind of, mystic creature. And so the guy who is taking care of her, or at least, dusting, her lab... She wakes up, and he's like, "What?" And she's like, "Get me something to drink." And she figures out that it's "You look so old." And then she figures out that this guy is actually the grandson of the guy that she's thinking of.
Yes.
So, yeah, she's been gone for a long time.
Yes.
Sailing the spaceways, which I find fascinating. I also like that... you think that she was so mysterious in the first one. You can't repeat that. I guess we understand that she's this weird thing that can take her eye out, but we get right into it. She is going to be a character in this thing. Now, she hasn't shown up in the first 3 episodes, but she is a part of this world. Basically, let me tell you what I thought.
Yeah.
I was really depressed about having to watch this.
Oh, okay.
I respect the Dark Crystal, but I don't like the Dark Crystal all that much.
I understand where you're coming from.
It's something that I watch all the time. And so I was like, oh, great, more of this. Mm-hmm. Sat down, immediately hooked, can't wait to finish it. Whoever it is, if it's Brian Henson himself, whoever he gets to write stuff, they know how to write this stuff. It's what the prequels were lacking when just George Lucas was writing them. Mm-hmm. He used to know how to take talented people, give them some ideas, and then let them write good stuff. And so we've already pointed out that they've definitely borrowed a few things that we're familiar with from other things. But every single scene, we know where we're going. There's stakes. We want to know what the characters are going to experience. Mm-hmm. They've already had setbacks and loss and tough choices.
Yes.
And it's all colored with that great Sesame Street, Muppets, Henson humor. There's this scene where Brea goes to the Mystic because he's going to tell her what to do.
Yes.
But the Mystic, we find out, is sort of in the pocket of the powers that be. And he's going to give her a potion to forget all these amazing things she's seen because we don't want to upset the balance.
Yes.
But she is, intrepid. She's our hero. She switches the glasses, Princess Bride style.
Yes.
And now the guy himself has lost his memory, or at least lost the memory of what he's supposed to do to her. And so it's this dark kind of thing that she's basically erased this guy's mind.
I know.
But she gets the information out of him, and then he's like, "Oh, do you have a question? Do I have a question? Am I in trouble? Are you in trouble?
What's your name?
I think we're all in trouble." Yeah. And they just find this way to make it funny.
Yeah.
It's why Hupp is I got my eye on Hupp. He's my guy here. I like the fact that he is this pure soul. We can't understand half the things that he says, but he is a hero in his own right. And he is just ridiculous and fun. And that's exactly what the Dark Crystal should have been more the film.
Yes, I agree with you. It seems like they're having more fun with it this time around than they did with the
are
original.
Successfully so far doing what they said they would, which is building on this lore and giving us this world that we want to see. You've got a character who, I'm not sure who's the most like Jen in this, but I think it might be Deet. Like, you've got this character who is sort of cast out of the world that she knows and is in this weird world where she's just trying to find she doesn't know what. You've got the Disney princess character in Brea.
Yeah.
And then you've got this weird like tragic story with Rian, who loses like his girlfriend, who's just atomized by this process that Mark Hamill puts her through. And he's like on the run. He's a fugitive, and he's got to find out like what the secret is of what they're doing. And so, yeah, I mean, so far, when people go watch the something Prince, you know, or watch She-Ra, or watch these Netflix shows, it's basically the same thing, but it's just the charm, it's the strength of the characters that make this better than those. Like, I feel like those are very rote when I watch them, and I'm just really getting into this.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, a lot of it is like the interesting characters, you know, like, I know this is a trope that you see often, but like the princess who's like a little bit too nosy for her own good, or a little, you know, maybe her curiosity gets the best of her, that sort of thing. And
I like how the Skeksis are evil, but they're not evil like, we're just going to eat things alive and we're going to drain the life essence of stuff. Like, they're just super self-serving.
Yeah. And
so like they're headed to her town and she bumps into them, and the one guy's like, yeah, check it out. Why not? Like, yeah, let's hear. Oh, you know how to read. Oh, that's pretty cool. She can read. And it's weird to think of the Skeksis as not being villains yet, necessarily.
Yes. They're developing into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get a lot more defined characters in this as well.
Yes.
Simon Pegg takes over from Frank Oz as the Chamberlain in this, and we start to see that Chamberlain start to see that he's already very sort of treacherous and such. But yeah, you're kind of like, I don't want to say rooting for him, but you kind of want to know, like, what's he going to do? Like, where's he going with this?
Right.
Of course, having Mark Hamill is just, you got to have that. It's pretty great.
It's pretty great. He's just enjoying himself. Like, I think he always is. But yeah.
Mark Hamill and Frank Oz back together.
I know, right?
Get on his back for old time's sake.
Yeah. I think, you know, it's just seeing the Chamberlain work the strings and everything, and like he talks his way. He's very good with speech, and like he talks his way out of being in trouble, and then gets the scientist in trouble. And
we get to see we get a little Room 101 1984 action here, but we get to see how the scientist gets his robot eye.
I know,
which I wasn't really looking for, but now one of the guys in the original movie has like our robot claw. He's got like a prosthesis instead of a hand. So we're gonna see how he gets his hand.
Yeah.
That, as long as we contain the how did we so and so get there something to one thing, just a side thing, and it's not the whole plot like the Hobbit movie or like the prequel trilogy.
Yes.
Fine. Like, you got your own story. You go, oh, okay, that's how that guy got a robot eye. Oh, that's fine, sure.
Right. I don't want the whole story to be that, like you said.
How does he become Darth Vader?
Yeah.
Is the answer some bad stuff happened?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Exactly.
Now you know the whole story. Anything else that you wanted to say? I think the Gelflings look more plastic. Mm-hmm. They look less real.
Yeah.
But I think that it's probably partially just how they construct puppets now. Mm-hmm. But I also think it's better for some. The faker they look, the more I relate to them. I
see what you're saying.
They were a little too soft and real, and then, like we said before, like Botoxy, like not expressive, and they have leaned into the fakeness, and it makes me identify with them more.
Yeah.
And then we also see just like a bunch of them. Like, is their friend supposed to be a black Gelfling?
I kind of got that, but I was like, I didn't want to say anything.
I'm glad there's diversity. That's all.
Yeah, right. But like,
I also like the fact that this one element that is literally just a story element in the first movie, the dream fasting, where they can share memories.
Yeah.
Because how do you get these two weird gelflings who, as a culture or as a species, have a deep connection but don't know each other. Well, they just touch hands and now they can share their minds and thoughts. Yeah. They took that and now they're exploring it. So you've got a pair of lovers who, while they are being romantic, they can share the time they first met. They can relive it together. Then you've got Rian, who's got the memory of, he's the CCTV camera. He's got the data tape in his mind of seeing the Skeksis do this horrible thing. He's able to share it with his friend. Yes. So immediately he doesn't have to convince his friend that he's innocent. He knows because he feels his memories. But he can't share that himself. He can't share his Rian's friend memory. Can't share it. Yes. So they've got to get Rian. He's the black box now. They have to get him to the powers that be so he can share it with them and prove that the people that they trust, those gross, drippy bird monsters, are really bad guys.
I know, right? Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, that's instead of just like jerking off about all the different aspects of like what the species can do, it like specifically relates to the story and everybody's goals. That is a great element.
It is.
Good job.
I think it's interesting, right? How he's like, I have to prove this to the queen, so I'm going to get Mira's essence. Like, because there was one vial that the scientists put away.
Right.
How is she going to know that that's Mira's essence? Like, how is she going to know for sure?
Well, you know, I mean, he's going to show her the memories, I guess.
Right.
And then he'll also have this sample.
Right.
First one's free. Maybe they'll be able to dream fast with her essence.
That would be weird.
Because it's her still.
Well,
maybe when you dream fast, you're sharing your essence. You're just not giving it away. So maybe she'll be able to like smell it
and know that it's Mira.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Huh. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because as of right now, the queen of the Gelflings is incredibly. She feels very like the Skeksis have given her everything and shared everything, and so she very much respects them and gives them everything. So is she going to believe Rian, and what is she going to do about it? I think it's going to be interesting.
We might be heading for a she's the Quisling here because she's already basically made noises about how I don't care what you saw, Brea. Like we can't mess with things. You know, we get what we need from them, even though they don't seem to have our best interests at heart. But what are we going to do here?
Right, they're in charge.
Yeah.
So we have to fall in line.
Yeah.
So,
I take it you'd recommend it.
I would recommend it. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm enjoying seeing this world being explored more. And maybe at the end of it, I'll have a better idea of what all the 7 clans are like.
Yes. Yeah, we need another swirling montage going from place to place, or I'm just not going to get it. What
do you think, Cal?
I absolutely recommend this. It's been very entertaining so far. I don't even think you needed to get a balls out celebrity voice cast. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but they did.
You probably could have just had, we talked about this a little while ago, like, what does Steve Blum think, or Mimi Woods or whatever think, every time they see Taron Egerton get a big voice role? It's like,
yeah, I know. What you're saying.
Go back and count my manga money or whatever. Like,
right?
I'm sure they're doing fine, but they're professionally trained to do this, and then the Kingsman comes in and takes your job.
Yeah, I know.
But that's neither here nor there. Like it's been really great so far. Although I do think it's funny that we are adding new things, but we are still kind of building up what came in the first movie.
Yeah.
So if they're really going to give us like the lore that Brian Froud, the designer of and Jim Henson of this world have come up with, can we see some other stuff? Like you literally come up with 7 kinds of Gelflings. There's even Gelflings that are basically dwarves because they live underground.
Right.
You couldn't have just had dwarves? Or like a dwarf-like alien?
Yeah.
You've got the elves and the Gelflings.
Yes.
But you've got like dwarf elves, dwelves. Yes. And then you've got the poplars.
The podlings.
who are your gnomes, basically.
They're goofy,
and then, like, that's it.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's see some more stuff.
Yeah, and then
the wildlife is amazing. Clearly inspired by undersea wildlife. There's a lot of like crab spiders. There's the anemone plants, that like pull in when you walk close,
which are pretty cool.
There's
and
that great part in the movie where he's in the woods and he sneezes or something, and then like all the sea anemone things go, they all roll up and like ball up and roll away.
And I can't remember what the little dog-like creatures are called, but they're like little balls of fur.
Well, Fizzgig is the named one in the movie.
Yes, and they have like 2 different sets of teeth.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to be kind of ferocious. But Deep meets one of them and is like, oh, do you want to come with me to hurrah? And then another one shows up and basically yells at that one, so they have to go.
Yeah.
like this is, we're referencing the film, but it's not going to be like the film.
Yeah.
I think is what we're supposed to get from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely check it out. Even though it lacks one particular Skeksis, the drilliest of them all, voiced by John Bernthal. Hey, God, come on, Dark Crystal, come on.
Hold on, little girl. Show me what he's done to you. Stand up, little girl. Broken heart can't be that bad.
I think he would have fit just fine.
Yeah,
the Skeksis have a way of overemphasizing certain things.
Yes.
It would have been easy for Jason Isaacs to say, we'll live forever. Instead he's like, we'll live forever! So it's good to let Jason Isaacs open it up a little bit.
Yes.
And it meeting his mouth. Because he usually talks like this. He talks like this. Jaw wired shut. Well, if you want more examination of various celebrity elocutions, come on back to Just Enough Trope. You can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, all those great places. Yes. Here's the deal. We told you about this. We told you about this either before. You know, the one that's neither or nor. We also told you about the survey. You got to go check that out.
Yes.
We appreciate that. That's shutting down soon. So do that if you have not done that yet. Subscribe to the show. We need you to be on for us so we can see that you're there. So wherever you get it, we're always looking. Naughty or nice. Subscribe to the show. Give us a review. We like to hear what you think we're doing, because we want to know what we're doing, because we don't know what we're doing. And give us a rating, because that's how we know that you know that we're doing a good job. And also those computers that run everything know. Linkletter, careful. Don't start shooting yet. Your Terminator movie. We'll take care of all that. So we need you to give us a rating, a high one, hopefully. How about 5 shards of a crystal? Now, I was given to understand that the crystal turned purple after it lost its piece. It cracked. But now we're learning that the crystal's power has just been corrupted by the little retcon, by the evil of the Skeksis.
Yeah, and
I'm not
cracked.
sure that it has cracked yet. Although we see in the scientist's vault, which is sealed by the lock snake, that should be in D&D.
Right.
Gary Gygax is kicking himself in heaven right now. That there are pieces of a crystal in there, some crystal. Now, I don't know if that is going to be viewed later, or if it's just a cool rock that the scientist found.
Right.
A geode or something. I don't know, but we'll see. So, in the meantime, too much confusion. Give us 5 stars. We'd appreciate it. We'll be back next week to talk about something completely different.
Yes.
And until then, we're signing off. I'm your host, Caliban.
I'm your co-host, Mikan Hana.
Keep the geek fires burning.